Welcome teachers to another video episode where we're going to be looking at lesson objectives. Yes, lesson objectives. And before we begin, as mentioned in our previous video, there are some things that we're going to need in order for us to write our lesson objectives, the tools. And the tools that we're going to need is none other than the domains of learning. Yes, we have three, which are the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. Within the cognitive domain, you have different levels. There's the knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, evaluation, and create. And of course, these are increased according to complexity. So we're looking at the lower order skills moving up to the higher order skills. Now, some objectives that can come out of the cognitive domain utilizing the action verbs are, after completing the chapter, students will be able to design a parallel circuit if it's a science lesson, or students will be able to select the most effective solution for the problem of the dump fire that affects communities such as the Whelan community. And of course, another example would be students will be able to differentiate between vertebrates and invertebrates. And of course, those are just some examples. And then we have the affective domain level. And of course, within the affective domain, you have receiving, responding, valuing, organization, and characterization. Some examples of objectives would be students listen attentively to the cultural introduction, or students voluntarily help to water the school garden, especially after learning about plants and what plants need in order for them to grow. And the next domain is the psychomotor domain. And based on this table, we know that this deals with actions and doing. And some example would be students perform the scientific experiment accurately using the scientific method graphic organizers. So teachers, before you begin writing your lesson objectives, make sure you have a copy of the different domains on hand. So now we're going to look at the language arts lesson. And with this language arts lesson, we're going to utilize the curriculum, of course, for us to determine what is the overarching objective that we will need in order for us to write our specific objectives. So here we have distinguish between formal and friendly letters. So the first domain, we're going to break it down, is the cognitive domain. So within the cognitive domain, we have identify the elements of a letter. And then we have differentiate between a formal and friendly letter. And then from the psychomotor domain, you want them to do something, correct? Yes. So they're going to apply the elements of a letter to compose a formal and friendly letter. And of course, we cannot leave out our affective domain. The students are going to appreciate the value of formal and friendly letters and also voluntarily write friendly and formal letters to their friends and also their teacher. And putting it all together, we have, at the end of the lesson, using colored markers, computer, notebook, and Venn diagram, students should be able to differentiate between a formal and friendly letter without assistance from the teacher. That is where the degree comes in. Apply the elements of a letter to compose a formal and friendly letter with less than 2 errors, and appreciate the value of formal and friendly letters as a means of communication. Yes, so that is how you would put all of the 3 domains together to create your objectives. Now let us look at a mathematics lesson objective. From the curriculum, of course, we're going to look at develop an understanding of line symmetry. So the topic is line symmetry, and we would like the students to develop an understanding of it. So we go on to our cognitive domain. Here, the students will be able to define what is a line of symmetry, and then list examples of symmetrical objects. For psychomotor, they're going to draw lines of symmetry by folding 2-dimensional shapes. And then for the affective domain, students are going to listen attentively to justify why or why not a figure has symmetry. Putting it all together. At the end of the lesson, Using two-dimensional shapes, a mirror, mini whiteboard, students should be able to define what is a line of symmetry using keywords provided by the teacher, draw lines of symmetry by folding two-dimensional shapes without no error, listen attentively to justify why or why not a figure has symmetry. And teachers, that is how you put together your cognitive, your psychomotor, and your affective domain to write effective objectives. And that concludes this section of writing objectives. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time in our next video.